Oh, it's so great to see you all. It's been since June, for those who might be here for the first time, since I've been in the pulpit. I took some time for vacation and study leave and came back refreshed and ready to say and do all the things. So let's have it. One day I was taking a yoga class with a new instructor. They were dynamic and engaging, and one of those yoga teachers that feels more like a cheerleader than a guide. Do you know what I mean? That day I was actually up for it, and I was energized by their Energizer bunniness, which I found encouraging. But they kept on repeating an instruction that was new to me. Get curious. Get curious. Okay, everyone, let's move into downward dog and get curious. Okay, let's go for warrior 2 and get curious. Now let's try a forward bend and get curious. And a flood of questions kind of came into my mind. How am I moving into this pose? How is my breath? How are my limbs and joints feeling as I'm approaching 50? Did I drink enough water today? Do I need a little bit more right now? I am curious. I'm curious where my edge is, and can I go just a little bit farther today? I'm curious, can I hold this just a little bit longer if I breathe? Just with that reminder, that invitation to get curious, it had the most delicious and delightful impact. I didn't find myself down that rabbit hole after rabbit hole of distraction and monkey mind. Do you know the term monkey mind? Or the ticky, ticky, ticky of the brain. What happened is I found myself more present to the moment, more present to what I was experiencing, of how my body was showing up. And I played with that edge of what I thought I was capable of versus what was available to me in that moment, and it worked. That mantra of get curious transformed my practice that continues to this day, but of course, it's bigger than that. The definition of curiosity is a desire to know or to learn. Curiosity is an openness to understanding, to discover, to wonder, and awe even. If we act like we have all the answers, we will never be open to new possibilities, to new wisdom. We will never seek what our shared principle describes as that ongoing search for truth and meaning, not the ongoing destination of truth and meaning. Many come to spiritual community, to religion even, to seek answers. Sorry. They come for certainty and a fixed worldview that explains everything in neat little packages and ascribed roles and ways of being, of what is right and good. Many who have had a conversation with me will start with a question for me, and how do I respond but ask you a question? It is not mine to say what your truth may be. It is a dangerous trap to fall into certainty because so often it leads to injustice, discrimination, fear, and hatred. Take that trip with me. I think time and again that up to half of the youth who are unhomed, that end up on the street, are there because their families and their loved ones have rejected them for being gay, for being trans, for being queer. I think about that sort of certainty and a fixed worldview that leads parents and caregivers to kick their own children out, to reject them so completely that these youth end up in dangerous and unhealthy environments just fighting for their survival. I think about the mental gymnastics required for lawmakers and politicians to turn their own fixed worldviews into politics and funding that discriminate and perpetuate oppression. I think about the whole swath of people who are able to carry a pregnancy and those who are not, who have changed the landscape of this country terrifyingly by denying the inherent right to medical care and bodily autonomy by rolling back the clock on reproductive justice. I wonder what would happen if they got curious. If they asked questions, deep questions that fracture a fixed worldview because they would allow their hearts to break open just a little bit. To know, to feel that our vulnerable LGBTQ kids and youth on the street end up in addiction, prostitution, and ongoing poverty. To know that denying and restricting access to abortion creates massive generational economic injustices, especially for marginalized and BIPOC communities. To know and feel the suffering of those forced to carry a pregnancy, and the quality of life for these families and children. I know in my bones that the beginning of all justice work is empathy. The beginning of our service in the world to make it a better place is empathy, not guilt, not shame, but empathy. It is to recognize and feel the pain and suffering for others. It is to say, it's not about us. It's not about our feelings or preferences or needs. Justice work is to journey alongside others, to partner with them, to listen, to respond in ways that promote agency and self-determination. It is to get curious. As a people of faith, that is our holy work, our calling, that discipline of spiritual curiosity, and to ask ourselves, what in me? What in my heart is closed off, is fractured, is broken, so much so that I cannot honor this person in front of me, these people in front of me, to honor their inherent worth and dignity. This goes without saying, perhaps I'm preaching to the choir, but when someone shares their pronouns, it's not ours to legislate their identity or their legitimacy. When someone is seeking an abortion or reproductive health services, it's not ours to question what happened. When our response is anger, resentment, or an impulse to control, it's time to get curious. And of course, it was Dr. Albert Einstein who said it best. One cannot help but to be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is not if one tries merely to understand, to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity. Einstein said that. Never lose a holy curiosity. Isn't that just a wonderful invitation? That holy curiosity names that it is not just to discover, to have these new revelations that we seek, but how wisdom is connected to something greater, something bigger than ourselves, to that holiness within us, to that spark of the divine within us and around us, holding us all of creation. That entire interdependent web of life that is so core to the spiritual path, that names how we are together, is so much more important than anything else. That holy curiosity is the path of love, A courageous love that is connected to the spirit of life, the highest good in the world, because it starts with wonder. That spiritual curiosity that draws us deeper, one question at a time, one uncomfortable question at a time. Of course, I defer to those wiser than me, and I found Jean Wise, who writes a blog on healthy spirituality. Jean writes, "Being curious allows us to be more objective in viewing our responses and our thinking, doing, and feeling. Being curious shines a light on patterns and gives names to what we experience. Being curious invites us to move back, to study, to learn and ask questions. Being curious reveals options to our behavior and thoughts we never realized before. Being curious invites God to open our hearts to see our true self through God's creative love." And this last one I love, being curious gives us hope. Being curious gives us hope. Is that something we need right now? Come on now. So this day as I come back to the pulpit for the first time in a few weeks, I bless you in your holy curiosity with a few humble suggestions. A challenge, because that's why y'all called me. This is from an article called Life Lessons on Curiosity. First, try being a reporter on your own life story. Isn't that a great idea? Ask those questions. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? Why am I here? You know, simple questions. How am I showing up? Reporters don't have answers. They have a series of questions that lead deeper and deeper and deeper. The second is an encouragement to read, to engage, to ponder, to explore. We know one of my favorite things is just to go to a library and wander the shelves and just find a book that may be interesting that'll usually prompt the thought, ooh, that'll preach. Or about a culture I am not familiar with, or a slice of history that I'm just learning about now. Ponder, explore. And third, in more conversations, think of questions to ask, not things to say. Over the summer, my family and I realized that, well, actually, is our love language. I will clarify. Well, actually, is the preface to someone spouting off what they know, smarty pants here, there, and everywhere. Well, actually. So instead of a, well, actually, may we embrace a holy curiosity and ask open-hearted and open-headed questions. One of my favorite questions is, can you say more about that? Tell me more. How is your spirit today? What is life teaching you this day? What's the hardest thing coming up for you? I get to ask those questions. I believe in my bones that holy curiosity is a healing balm for our time. It is only in breaking out of our bubbles, questioning and pushing back against fixed narratives, inviting in new experiences, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, questioning our privilege, understanding our place, that we will heal ourselves and our worlds. Life is learning. Life is connection. Life is mystery and wonder. Life is relationships and community. And it is only through a holy curiosity that we can embrace all of this and all that we can be. So my fourth challenge, bonus, is I invite you to share your stories of holy curiosity with me this week. Send me a message on Realm, email me, text me, phone call, drop by the office, tell me what you have discovered. May you be of service to expanding my universe and to those around you. And who knows, you might change my mind and silence me the next time I want to pull on my glasses and say, well, actually. So bless you in your holy curiosity, and may it be ever continuous. Amen. Blessed be, and Ashe.